All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Viewers Assemble. We are almost at the finish line here. A couple more movies to go. We're doing Ant-Man the Wasp today. Joined once again by Garrett. And joined once again by Vic, the OG crew today. So we're not going to really recap this one. It's a sequel to Ant-Man. Hopefully you guys have seen that by now. But what do you guys have for some of your favorite scenes or your scenes that stick out as some of the ones that you thought were just above the rest?
I'll start. They have to go by some sort of black market thing off of some guy Sonny, and the Wasp goes in, and it's like a whole sting operation. Ant-Man's out in the car with Professor Nim, and they're waiting for her, and she goes in there, and the deal kind of goes sour. Turns into a pretty decent action scene, and then Ghost makes her debut, shows up. You're kind of like, I don't know who this is, or if they're a villain, if they're on the good side, or what they're doing here, but they end up stealing the laboratory, and then you realize, all right, that's the villain of this movie. I think, honestly, out of everything that happened in the movie, it was probably the most enjoyable scene, and, the best action scene. Really wasn't a lot to choose from in this, but I'd have to go with that.
Yeah, when Hope is shrinking down and she's running on the knife and stuff.
Yeah.
I think in this scene it kind of reminded me of the scenes that were so cool in Ant-Man 1. I think they were trying to hit that, but for me, at least personally, it didn't hit that high. Ant-Man 1, where we think about the train scene at the end, where it's that funny sequence where it zooms out and just the train falling. I think they were trying for that, but I agree, it's a cool scene, but I wasn't
didn't hit all the 3D marks.
Yeah, for me, kind of branching off of that, I guess it's just what's his name, Luis? I forget the character's name. He's really funny, but they take the Hot Wheels, and he they're like, oh, we need to get a car, and he opens the Hot Wheel thing, and he's like, oh my god, and it's got the flames on it, and then they're always shrinking or enlarging that wheel. I think anytime the whole lab shrinking down was cool just in general, but then anytime they have the Hot Wheels that made them real cars, that was cool. And there's a scene where they go over, and then they're small, and Hope originally picks up Ant-Man, and then it's a normal car shot, and then they zoom out, and it's they're this little car a red light. So that, I think, throughout the movie, not one particular scene, but that was kind of a cool effect, I think.
No, I agree. That was one of my favorite parts of the movie. The other part was probably just how much Hank and Hope pull off while being on the lam. They were kind of looking for them as criminals, just like Paul Rudd, because he was on house arrest. Yeah. They were supposed to be too, because they technically designed the suits and gave them to him and all that stuff. So I thought it was really cool how much they pulled off with the building, being able to shrink it, the lab and all that, while being on the run, essentially. Literally in a main town. I don't even know if they say what town they're in, but
I don't know.
Whatever it is, they're in the middle of a main city, and they have the shrinking building, the shrinking cars, they just run it all. Their assets are frozen, but they still have the financials to pull it off. Just really cool, espionage type stuff. I thought that was a really cool part of the movie. No really favorite scenes. I thought there was some really good action, but that concept was really cool and impressive.
Yeah, I like the one scene too where Paul Rudd has to pretend to be the mom, and he's she's channeling. I think they explain that she's connected through him through the quantum realm, and so he's oh honey, it's so good to see you, and he's it's just a little
touches Hank's face.
Yeah, just a subtle comedic bit from Paul Rudd there that I think really speaks to it. So that was a little fun scene. I think overall it's a fun movie.
Yeah, but
it's not gonna blow you away. It's not spoilers. It's not the best MCU we've seen. It's just kind of a middle, a filler movie.
Yeah.
That kind of sets up for later things in Endgame, and
it really introduces the quantum realm.
Yeah.
It kind of dives into that more, so you understand Endgame later on. But
yeah. What do you guys have for worst scenes, or any scenes that stuck out to you that
For me, it's the end when Ant-Man blows up to the supersized whatever, and then it's so hard because it gets so serious, but then they mix in comedy. There's some parts of the comedy that's so good, but at the same time, it's this is the ending scene. It should be captivating, on the edge of your seat, what's going to happen, and then they mix in kind of stupid comedy, him losing, not being able to breathe because he's too big, and then falling. They just added some stupid extra stuff that they didn't need. And, once we get into Baby Arms, I'll tell you more as to what I hated about this movie, but I just thought the end kind of sucked.
Yeah. Garrett, what about you?
It's definitely the ending. And the reason being, I think the real ending is the after credits scene. And if you don't watch that, like if you leave the theater or something, like when it first comes out, and you miss that scene, that adds a big hole to Endgame, and you're like, so you won't know where Ant-Man is, or why he's gone, or how he came back, or any of that. You won't know about it. So I really think that should have been part of the actual movie and not like a middle of the credits scene
I
that they
agree.
just add in there. So
Really
it would have made for a better ending if they just put that right at the very end.
Yeah, because as we learn, they're going into the quantum realm to get the healing particles for Ghost. Because like we think Ghost is the bad guy, and then it turns out she's just like in like a precarious situation, basically where she was like fighting for life. We get the dude from the Matrix, Lawrence Fishburne.
Yep.
He's always good. He's in John Wick too. He's always awesome. But like I thought we talked a little bit about this off camera. Where like there's too many characters in this movie. Where and it's funny because it's really like Ant-Man, Wasp. You got Pym. You got Ghost. Yeah, Luis. So you have the crew, but like somehow they ended up with too many characters in this movie. Where it's like, yeah, Sonny. I forget his last name, but he's like the black market dealer. Yeah. Vicky mentioned off camera, like, why is he in this? Like because like they're kind of doing their own thing, and then he comes in at the end. He's like, I want that lab, and it's like, what? Like, why are you even involved in this?
So the FBI is after them, Ghost is after them, and this mafia Sonny Birch guy is after them. It was too much. And a lot of times you'll see, like, there's some movies where we're like, I don't know who Baby Arms is because there's 4 people in it. Like some of the Thor movies or even Captain America, you're really like digging down deep to find a Baby Arms. Where in this one, there's just too many characters. Like I could pick up 4 or 5 that were just unnecessary to this movie, and it still would have been just as good.
Yeah, I think branching off of that, so Baby Arms for me, it could go between a couple of characters, but for me, I think I'm going to go with Lawrence Fishburne, actually. And I love him as an actor. He's awesome as an actor, but in this movie, he's like, I don't want to say underutilized, but like, he's like with Ghost, and he like does this weird thing where they go to see him at the university, and they're like in the back, and it's Pym and Hope and Paul Rudd, Ant-Man, or Scott, I should say. And then they're like, oh, it's my old partner. And they're like, you're like, oh, cool. And then they're like working together, but then he just like randomly turns on them, or he's like trying to thwart their plans. And I'm like, why are you being the bad guy? I don't understand. Like, it just seemed weird. And they had like this little Hank and Lawrence Fishburne, I forget his character's name, but like they have this fun little back and forth where he's like, oh yeah, this guy's an asshole. And like, it was hard to work with him, and his ego's big. And that was fun. And then he just goes like, I'm going to try to ruin all of your plans. But then he like gives up when he gets overpowered, because he's like, oh, I didn't like, I don't know. It just seemed weird to me that like I don't know where that character was falling on there. So for me, like Lawrence Fishburne, even though I love him as an actor, he's my Baby Arms in this movie, because I just think he didn't really belong and just kind of stuck out.
Yes, Sonny Birch for me was my Baby Arms. Such a like wasteful character. At least for me, Lawrence Fishburne's character was tied to Hank Pym's past with S.H.I.E.L.D. So at least there was like some good ties to the history and to why he's helping this little girl whose father was also a partner with Hank Pym. But like Sonny Birch, if they had just that one scene in the middle where, I don't want to call him an iconic actor, but if you're into good television, you know who he is. I just don't understand, like, don't bring him back. Have that one scene where he tries to rip off Hope and then move on.
That should have been it.
Yeah, like, you don't need to bring him back. And he played too much of a role. I didn't think he was very good. Didn't love his accent. He was kind of soft for being, like, a tough guy, like, mafia guy. I hated his character. It was a waste of time. Yeah,
Walton Goggins is great. I know Garrett and I at least we've seen him in a bunch of different series. He's a great comedic actor, but yeah, he's not, to put him in like a serious like villain role, he wasn't comedic relief. He was just kind of like stuck. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Yeah,
it was just forcing it a little bit too much.
Yeah. What about you? What do you have for Baby
Arms? It's Sonny, and
Sonny, yeah.
I'm not going to add too much to it, but he basically was just him and his crew were just like, all right, we need like a sub-villain. Like, we need, it's not going to be our main villain, but it's someone that just kind of adds a little bit of filler. And they put that in. I don't think they really needed it. I think they could have focused more on Lawrence Fishburne and Ghost and all that, and connected that storyline a little bit better. Like I said, I think he could have been used for one scene, and then that was it. And they kept dragging him back into it just to add a couple more delays and add a few more filler scenes at the end. So really useless character. So unfortunately, That's my baby arms.
Yeah, and I know we're kind of doing this out of order because usually we do strongest Avenger first, but I just had to jump on the baby arms. Do you guys have a strongest Avenger, or who you thought stood out the most? I think we picked Paul Rudd for at least a couple of our strongest Avengers the first time.
Yeah, I actually was just going to go with Paul Rudd again.
Paul Rudd.
I think it. You could go with Michael Douglas and Hank Pym. He's always good, but Paul Rudd is just. I don't think Ant-Man is a good character in the MCU if it's not for Paul Rudd. I think everyone just enjoys Paul Rudd and they know what he brings to the table, and even though he's Paul Rudd playing Paul Rudd, it's just always a good time and it makes the movie a little bit better and adds some charisma. So I just went with Paul Rudd again.
Yeah, the one thing I love about how he plays this role is he's so multidimensional, where like he's kind of a dipshit in a sense, kind of funny, but he's also like very caring and loving, and like he wants to do right and stay out of trouble so he can be a good father, but he also wants to help Hank and Hope because he loves Hope and wants, to get her mom back. Like, he's just a really like genuinely good guy. He's just a little bit of a dipshit and he's funny, and he gives like a really good sense. Like, he wants to be a superhero to be a superhero. Like, he wants to help people. He doesn't care about the fame and stuff like that. So he gives a really good multi-dimensional character, and I like that about him. I'm going with Hope, and I think for me it's very easy to give it to Paul Rudd, but Evangeline Lilly, right?
Yep.
That's her name. She's very like distraught emotionally. Like, their mission is to get their mom back because
she got rid of that terrible wig from the first one.
So,
apparently that's her real hair. Apparently in the first one.
Hey, she pulled it off.
God, I don't know if she did.
Oh my god. Anyway, but no, she, for someone who's going through so much emotional distraught, she's so badass. She's so emotional at getting her mom back, but at the same time, she's still scientifically a genius. Mm-hmm. She's still a badass as the Wasp, and I think she played the character really well. Showed some good raw emotion and kind of really showed her badass side as well. So I went with her.
That's a good pick, and it's cool because at the end of Ant-Man 1, they like tease it where I think Hank shows her the suit and he's like, "I made this for you," and it's like, "Oh, let's go." It's like, it reminds me of what's his name? Even though we didn't get him after the first movie, Iron Man, Don Cheadle's character.
Yeah.
Where he's like, "Next time, baby," and it's like, "Oh, he never had next time." But for me, I'm gonna go with, I think his name is Luis. So I'll edit that in, but. Yeah, he's so funny. He's in, I forget the actor's name. I'm gonna have to edit that in there,
he's in so much.
Michael Pena,
yeah, that's it. Man, he's so funny. He plays like the same character in all of his movies, but he's always so good. And I thought he was really good comedically in the first one, and this one I just thought they gave him a little bit of a bigger role, but he always just has like that fun, quippy, like. He's like, "Oh, I thought I was managing the business." And there's like a great scene where he's like, "There's no such thing as truth serum." He's like, "Oh my God, I'm doing the truth serum."
Yeah, that part is actually
he starts like saying everything. He's just always hilarious. And I think I think Paul Rudd is really good in this, but I think he was stronger in the first movie. The first one was about him. I think Evangeline is probably more about her.
Yeah, they didn't make it like Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
Clearly, like, Part A, 1A and 1B.
Exactly.
So
yeah, I think the first movie was all about Paul Rudd. I think this one was more about the supporting cast, and it's still fun. We still get T.I. and we still get the dude from The Dark Knight that I can't remember his name.
Oh yeah.
We don't need to mention him really, but no offense to that actor. But it's a fun ragtag group, and it's a fun movie. I just don't think it's as good as the first one. But with that being said, what would you guys give this as a score?
Let me pull it up.
We know no rookie scores.
Yeah, so I give it a 7.8.
That's high for you, I feel like.
It is a little high, so I gave Ant-Man 1 an 8.1. I gave this a little below. I'm a Paul Rudd guy. I really like Paul Rudd.
Who isn't, really?
I like the character of Ant-Man. This movie had a little too much filler for me, or I think it could have ranked a little bit higher. For more of the, like, comedy relief of the Marvel Universe, I like it better than both Guardians. I know you guys probably don't agree with me on that,
really?
But I like it better than both Guardians. So I don't know. Yeah, 7.8 is just about where I put it.
That's high. I think you usually give typically lower scores. Like,
if I don't like it, I'll let you know.
You guys are both hard critics. I know. I usually give higher scores, but like I know Garrett, especially, like you guys are stiff on that. But that's pretty good.
Yeah.
What about you, Garrett?
This one's coming in 7.3, which has it. I think it's tied with Iron Man 3 for me in my rankings. It's down in that area.
Don't tell Nigel that.
It's yes, but no, it's a good movie. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just in comparison to other Avengers and Marvel movies, I'm not super high on it, so it's down in kind of like the bottom third. But it was enjoyable. It's worth a couple rewatches, but that's, nothing crazy, nothing memorable. Not gonna put it in my top 5 at all.
Yeah. Just before I forget, quick shout out to Nigel. Happy birthday.
Yeah, buddy.
Time of this recording here. Nigel's joined us for a couple reviews, but I'm kind of along with you guys. We're like, I'm not as high as Vic. I'm not as low as Garrett. Maybe I'm 7.5 for this one, which is kind of a low score for me.
It is low for you.
Yeah, usually you give 8s for most of these movies. So, like Garrett said, and like Vic touched on, a good movie. Paul Rudd is great, and the supporting cast is good, but I found myself kind of bored at most of this plot. I think I was just when Sonny comes in at the end, literally drives in, and I was like, "You're still in this movie?"
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know, the lab scene, the Paul Rudd going big was cool, but we just saw that in Civil War, which was really cool reveal. But now we got Paul Rudd big again. And I was like, do we need to do this every time? And then I don't know, he's running out of energy. But you think he would have more energy this time because he's done it already once? So I don't know.
A little bit of a flawed movie. For sure.
Just a lot of plot holes. Not a lot of it was just it didn't quite hit the nail on the head for me. So a 7.5, but I wouldn't necessarily watch it again if I didn't.
Do you know where that falls in your rankings?
I know recently we've been doing just top 5, and I can tell you it does not crack my top 5.
No, yeah. So mine's in the bottom 6. So it's down with Guardians and the Hulk. Thor 1 actually is down there, but definitely not my favorite.
Yeah. What about you, Garrett?
Oh yeah, it's like I said, bottom third.
Yeah.
So bottom third, unfortunately, it's I don't think it's at the bottom, but it's probably 5 or 6 away from it.
Yeah, and I think what we'll do for Endgame coming up in just a bit, we will do I think one definitive ranking where I think I don't know how we'll do it yet, but everyone will rank just 1 through 23. Okay, you gotta sit down and you gotta say this is my definitive ranking, and then maybe this will slot up above. I think Hulk is probably gonna be at the bottom for all of us.
We'll see.
You think something's better than Hulk?
I'm gonna watch it a couple more times. See what
or you think Hulk is better than something else? I should say.
No, I do not.
Yeah, probably not, but we'll see. But yeah, I think we're all kind of lukewarm in this movie. Not the worst movie, but not the best movie. Just kind of take it or leave it, I think.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, that's kind of our quick review of Ant-Man the Wasp, guys. So thank you for joining us for another episode of Reviewers Assemble. This has been Project Potter, my channel, but we got some buddies here. Reviewers Assemble is our group review, so we've had a blast doing it. So again, we're getting towards the end there. We got a couple more movies, so thank you guys for checking out the channel. Like, comment, subscribe, and we still don't have an outro, but that's okay.
Hey, 21 down, 2 more to go.
Doesn't matter. Peace, guys.